A very warm welcome to the Sports Show, and today we're going to be talking about treatments, especially when it comes to sports. As we all know, those who participate in sports, whether it's high energy frenetic games such as football or cricket or hockey, in the modern day is very usual to pick up a lot of injuries, whether they're muscle related. They could affect your legs, arms, knees, ankles, thighs, back, etc. And it's become very important now, recovery. Something that's become very important is recovery in modern day sports. Now, here with me in the studio today is Duncan Webster, and he's from the Core charity. And we're going to be discussing what exactly Core does and the support it provides to sports people of all ages and ranges. Thank you very much for coming onto the Sports Show.
You're very welcome.
Duncan, tell us a little bit about Core Clapton.
Okay, so we're a new charity. We've been getting together, raising funds for the last 3 years, and our intention is to provide osteopathic healthcare to people that wouldn't be able to afford it otherwise.
And when you mean afford it otherwise, is it very important? Is it very expensive?
It can be. So osteopathy, the pricing, it's not really available on the NHS is the first problem. So we are, I guess, a step back. What is osteopathy? It is hands-on healthcare. So treating people for, as you say, muscle problems, sprains, long-term back and neck problems, all sorts of recovery type issues. But it's not available on the NHS. And so since it's private, it tends to be available to people who can afford to spend 30, 40, even 60 or 70 pounds on treatment, or who have private health insurance.
And you've got this flagship project starting up in Clapton?
Yep, so what we're doing is we're making a nice big community centre, and we're going to have free treatments and cheap treatments. We're going to be staffed by new osteopathy graduates who are going to receive mentoring, and we're going to perform research so that we can try and demonstrate how effective things are and hopefully get it more available in the future.
And the treatments that you provide, are they going to be restricted just to sports people?
No, we'll treat anybody.
So it's a community project?
Absolutely, all about the community. And what we want to achieve is have our free treatments go to people that really need it. So with that in mind, we're making links with local charities, local religious groups, so that someone can say to us, these people would like a treatment, rather than us having to assess whether someone deserves it.
And how does the process work out, Duncan, from beginning to end? So I feel like I could benefit from the services that you provide. What
Absolutely.
would I do next?
So the first stage is to make an appointment. Hopefully we'd have a quick chat on the phone about what's wrong. But then when you come in, we spend a while talking about you, your personal medical history, your physical activities, the things that have brought you to the point where you've come to see us. Because one of the main points of osteopathy is that we look at you in the context of your life. I have a lot of patients who say, I've got this sore shoulder, for example. I do a lot of fencing, and I went to a doctor and they said, you should stop. And that's not an answer. Fencing is the one thing she wanted to do. Similarly, someone who plays in a Sunday night football league. He's mid-50s, he's in a lot of pain, but it's the thing he wants. It's saying stop isn't the point. So what we say is, okay, this is your priority, how can we help? Then in the session, we tend to get people to undress a certain amount, depending what we need to look at, get them to do some movements. Then I would move you around instead to see how it moves differently. We'd discuss what I find, make a diagnosis, and then give you some treatment as well. And then finally, give you some exercises to take away.
What was the inspiration behind you and your colleagues launching this?
So I think to an extent, all osteopaths think, yes, we really want to save everyone, we want to help the world. And when we move out into the real world, away from university, we'll do lots of work charitably or free work. But the reality is that it's hard. You have to, because we're private, we're all self-employed businessmen. So we have to care for ourselves first. So that was the first thing. At the same time, when I graduated, I realized I ended up working on my own in a lot of little rooms and never really talking to other osteopaths. And so it's not nearly as good for my career and for the care of the patients. So trying to do those two things. And then my third passion is to try and demonstrate how useful osteopathy is, how good it can be, and to make it more available. And that's where the research comes in.
And how has the initial response been, say, from members of the community?
So everyone we've talked to is enthusiastic. We ran a trial project in Chigwell Court, which is a little residential home. We went in for 4 weeks, and we had 6 osteopaths And so the first week, I think we had 18 patients. And by the last week, we were over capacity. We had 27 because people were just telling their friends, this is fantastic, come. And that was a really good test audience because a lot of those people hadn't had osteopathic treatment before. Can you see osteopaths in general becoming more and more prominent in modern day sports? I certainly hope so. I mean, who was having them recently? I know some actors have. There was a lot of excitement in the osteopathic community last year's Wimbledon because someone was doing an osteopathic treatment actually at pitch side on, I can't remember which player. I know a lot of the big football teams already have in-house osteopaths. So again, it's people that can afford it or have unlimited resources. It is definitely out there. So you could see probably in the future, would you believe it, even now, a lot of clubs, even in the Premier League, they don't have an official club doctor on site.
Really?
Absolutely. It's only a few, I mean, we knew Dr. Zaff was at Liverpool, and we met him a few times as well. Just engaging with him, he's now at Crystal Palace with Alan Pardew there. They actually created a role for a club doctor there. Right. And that got me thinking that in an industry, obviously football, Premier League football has become an industry now as well, in the sports and industry, which spends billions of pounds, should we say, all over the world and promoting themselves. Yeah. And a lot of clubs, they don't even have a club doctor, not because they can't afford to, but possibly it hasn't even featured on their radar. Yeah. Do you feel that in the future you could see, like, obviously clubs in sports that have got money as well, having a medical team where they've got osteopaths and doctors because of the obvious benefits that they bring to sports people? Absolutely. I mean, the big move that I've noticed recently is a lot of big rugby teams have started doing yoga, which is a complete transfer from what they used to do, obviously, just solid weight training, acknowledging that they need this flexibility and extra ability to repair, and osteopathy would be an extension of that. An extension of that as well. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Sounds very interesting. So generally what we try to achieve is balance. Yes. So if, for example, you play cricket, it is by its nature very one-sided. Everything you do is in a certain direction. Yes. You're turning the same way again and again and again. And that puts a lot of strain in certain areas. But what happens is, because you're always moving that way, the muscles in the low back here will get tight because they're used to being ready in this position. That prevents you following through on your swing. So by loosening these off, making them more functional, we allow you to get that fluid motion and actually be better at doing it. Okay. Now we're just going back to Core Clapton, what we were talking about. So you have a crowdfunding campaign which is currently taking place at the moment now as well. That's right. Can you please fill in the viewers on the details of that? Yep, so we're trying to raise £20,000. We're using it to make the space better and better. So we're currently going through renovations. They have. And where is this located, this space? It's 161 Northwood Road, Clapton, E5 8RL. Okay. And the renovations have started. We've cleared the building out and it's beautiful space, an old parish hall, but we need to make it nice and pleasant and an interesting place for the community to come. So we're having the crowdfunder, we're aiming for £20,000. You can see it at www.crowdfunder.com/raise-the-volume, so raise the volume, and that's also visible on our website, which is www.corecIC.com. And how's fundraising going at the moment? It's pretty good. We topped £10,000 just a couple of days ago, and we're just having our big push now to try and get those people to reinvest. We've got a couple of hopefully bigger donations coming in from local businesses. So we're on target, I think, but could use a bit of a boost. £10,000 is actually peanuts when you look at it in the grand scheme of things as well. And I would urge viewers who are watching this interview now, as you can see, what Duncan and his team are doing is voluntary. It benefits the community immensely as well, but from a sports perspective, which is what we're all about here as well, the benefits for grassroots sportsmen is unbelievable. To go out and pay for treatment like this would cost a lot of money. And not everybody, let's be absolutely honest, not everybody would be able to afford it, whether it's on an individual basis or the club providing this provision as well. But what you could do is you could actually make an appointment with Duncan and his team and potentially go down there and receive some really good top-class free treatment as well. So the details are on our screens, and I would urge everyone who's watching this to donate something. Not only that as well, but share the video and the link as well for people to actually make some donations and hopefully bring this project to fruition. And to be clear, it's not just a donation. You can just buy treatments in advance. You can donate.
So that's even better.
An amount and get a treatment, a large amount and get a pack of treatments. So if teams have availability, they're welcome to buy a block of treatments, essentially in advance. And that will be cheaper than obviously getting it on the street, and we'll be willing to go further than that as well if needed.
Can you see yourself going into an outreach program in the future where from the centre you actually go into, I mean, judging by the work that you do, I think the pinnacle would be actually going into mainstream football clubs. But I think it's about the nitty gritty as well. We're looking at it from a community perspective. So say you got Clapton Football Club, for example, or you got Stepney Football Club from locality here as well, where you would actually engage with players maybe on match day, offering them some treatments. Can you see yourself doing things like this?
Absolutely. We obviously, our initial focus has to be working within the building, but longer term we want to be out and just spreading the word and spreading the availability. I think either pre or post match treatments would be a really valuable thing. I know in fact some osteopaths do full pitch side work as well, although I'm not personally trained. You need to do a little bit of extra work to do the on pitch physio stuff. But certainly pre and post treatment, absolutely.
Do you believe that what you and the team do, Duncan, it's actually helping to change the mindset of people within sports, i.e. it's very important to take care of yourself. If you do that, it will add value to what you're trying to achieve on the pitch, for example.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of what we're doing is it's re-educating your body. If you hurt yourself, if you twist your ankle or you have a ligament damage, it leads to instability. It means that not only is it uncomfortable, but even after you've had some rehab, often you're still cautious about it. What we do is put the movements, the joints and the muscles through their comfortable range of movement, allow your body to say, actually, this is okay. And sometimes that's missed. The NHS physio is quite often focused on get through the movement, and go out. And by actually getting that body to work together, it means that you're more confident, you're more comfortable, and you're more fluid. We also like to try and stop problems before they happen, which is hopefully the way of the future.
And are you working quite closely, or do you have plans to work with the NHS?
Ideally, what we'd like to do is move fully into the NHS. I think it's something that should be available to everybody, long term. So the sort of overarching plan is get the treatment centre up and running, do some research which demonstrates that we're doing things. We're particularly looking at preventative healthcare in the elderly, so seeing them regularly and hopefully stopping them getting these initial bout of pneumonia or delaying their hip operation, stopping that first fall. Once we've got some evidence for that, we're hoping to have multiple centres in the UK, which will give more power to the research, make it even better, more effective research. Beyond that, we'd like to have centres in multiple countries and just to make it available everywhere.
Is there a particular football team that you support? I'm based on football because that is very popular amongst us. Or any sports? Do you have a particularly favourite sport?
I married into a West Ham family, so sorry about that.
I apologise to everybody. If I knew that beforehand, I would not have even asked him that question.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. So, but I don't watch it very often. I'm very busy with the charity.
That doesn't make any difference. You've committed the sin now, Duncan.
Because I'm originally from Devon, so it was either Torquay or Plymouth, and well.
Ironic you should say that. The T-shirt I got on here is my good friend Ben Day. I know I love to plug him on the sports show all the time as well. And he's from Devon as well.
Right.
And he's one of those nutcases who, he's a boxer.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he lost last Saturday, but it was a controversial decision. Ref called it off. It didn't even look like he'd been hit. But there's a rumour going around that people in Devon, when they train for boxing, they knock out the cows, like George Foreman did. So he's a bit of a nutter. And your crowdfunding page again, please, for the benefit of our readers.
Yep, it's crowdfunder.co.uk/raise the volume with hyphens between them.
Brilliant. As you can see, it's been fascinating talking to Duncan. I didn't want to talk a long time and just bore you all here as well. But as you can see from the few questions and the discussion that we've had today, how important the role of people like Duncan and his colleagues are in terms of participation and engagement in sports. Not only that, but they're doing it free for the community. And if you also look a little bit further afield, you can also be treated and receive some wonderful treatment for very little money as well. It's, I think, imperative for us to support a project like this. The details, as I've said earlier, are on our screen, and I'm hoping that the readers will share this video, share the link as well, and also help to Duncan and the team reach this amount, or this total, and surpass it in record time as well.
Just to add something so that people really get something out of watching this, an exercise that will benefit everybody, because you're thinking about cricket in particular. Cricket, hockey, a lot of sports bring you forwards. Working at a desk brings you forwards, leads to a lot of tension through your front, and leads to all sorts of other things. Low back pain, neck pain, lots of issues. But one exercise that everybody can benefit from doing is shoulder rolls. So if you can squeeze your shoulders together to touch in front of you, bring them all the way up to your ears, together behind you and down to the floor, and follow this big movement. So it's really a circle. Okay. And once you've done that a few times, go the opposite way, squeezing up and forwards and down. And gosh, I need to do this more often as well.
More often.
And if you do that daily, then you'll find that it makes a massive difference in terms of pain, but also in terms of your shoulder mobility, which again... I won't
mirror you now at this moment, because I don't want to look silly on camera, but I will probably try this when we're off air as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. And that's it from me. I'm Emdad and...
Duncan.
Thanks for watching The Sports Show.